And
Mm.
that essence of redefining business and really understanding that business is a spiritual game, I think that's what allows us to bring in that femininity, because the feminine nature is in all of us, as you know. And
Correct.
that
Correct.
essence of
Are we
redefining,
going live somewhere on YouTube?
yeah, I just hit the live button right now. Um, so I just feel like this is really value added conversation already. Um, because it's a different perspective on business. It's a more heart focused approach, and like you said, normally the woman's gliding and like, hey, what if we were all gliding in business like this, like making it so simple and easy and graceful. Jin Hong, welcome, brother. How are you?
Good, Eric. I'm gonna mute and listen for a while. Uh, Thank you. Yes.
Do you want to share a little bit about yourself since you came in?
Give me about 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. But yeah, I think that this is something that is a unique way of operating. And I also feel very inspired that we can redefine from that capacity business because many times after going to Tony or doing these different events, wanted to approach business from a different perspective.
Mm.
And multiple times, and I think you remember me even from back then that I was hitting a wall, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah, the energy has to flow, and this is very apparent when a business leader, an entrepreneur, someone who is usually front of the house and dealing with the general public, with the clients, with the tribe, the leader of a vision, especially a business, it is very clear if they understand or not the duality, the binary essence of the world we live in, the masculine and the feminine, because that's what we started talking about. And it's not really about having a woman or a man leading, it's more understanding the essence of the masculine and the feminine that needs to be in absolute perfect alignment and partnership so that when one is needed steps in, when the other one is needed they step in, because otherwise, as we see in this day and age, is either just masculine patriarchal type of narrative, which is just go go go, take, or just feminine, which is persuading, inviting, but never decisive. So how do you balance the two to bring about coherence and alignment so that your vision is also flowing back? It's always a circuit. The moment you understand that there is no such thing as separation and you stop identifying with the separation and the oneness of everything, which is already designed perfectly by our creator in her mighty presence. Once you understand the banks of the river need to hold the river flow, so everything flows, it's the masculine and the feminine in the same narrative, then you can switch and swap immediately when you need it. When you need to make a decision, you step into your warrior, sovereign masculine. When you need to be creative, inviting, hosting a presentation, a meeting, a brainstorming session, be more relaxed and more enticing and more pleasant. So I think some people need to come back into their bodies in alignment so that their bodies communicate back into them when they have to be feminine and or masculine. Because usually we have a very strong gut instinct and a sense of perception of our environment that instantaneously tells us biochemically. And then from the energy field, from our coherence energy field, auric field, electromagnetic field of the heart. We are very perceptive of people. And that's why, fun fact, 50% of sales are 50% in closing a sale is more likely in person because when you meet with people in person, your brain heart coherence in your electromagnetic field of the heart can immediately sense. So you have more certainty if you want to deal with someone or not. Hey.
I love it. It's so true, and it does definitely change the nature than when we're doing it online. There's so much more power in immersion, and I love it. I love it.
Mm.
JJ, you want to say hello? How are you, brother?
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. I am very good. I had a very good day. um, I was working on my projects today. So was implementation day, and it's very good. It's evening now. I'm very happy, and I'm excited for this call. I haven't been in an evening call for a while, and yeah, doing good so far. Thank you so much. Hope the same is true for you as well.
Absolutely. Have you met Paul yet?
Paul, we have not met. From what I know, no, we have not met.
So,
Well, it's great to
Paul,
make your acquaintance, JJ. Eric
Good to
introduced
see
us.
you. Yes, thank you, Paul.
I'm happy that you guys are meeting. JJ came down to some of the events here in Edmonton, and he lit. Well, JJ, you want to share a little bit about yourself, brother?
Sure. Yes, sure. Um, so I'm based in Switzerland. I live here, and the world is my playground, as I learned, and as I practice now. I My background is IT consulting for many years, and the recent past was more like as an freelancer. I ended my last project. When was it? October, November last year. Since then, I'm looking for my new future. I'm building my new future. My new future is related to financial education for young adults, kids, and also grown-ups. I'm working together on a project with Ronald, which you might know already. And then also I'm working in education for in the Bitcoin topic for individuals, for families, for companies, where I'm building a program. However, now the financial education for kids has a little bit more priority. And yeah, I met a lot of very good people in the past through Eric, through other people. Very interesting journey I'm on right now, and I'm excited for this. Yeah, for the Lighthouse community actually helps a lot, and yeah, that's where I am right now. Happy to share that with you. I would
Amazing.
like to
Thank you for
add.
sharing, JJ.
I also would like to add thanks to Eric, who pushed me a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'm hosting the Wednesday morning call, European time, where we talk about business and entrepreneurship. And this one I'm doing together with Tanya. Tanya is also in the Bitcoin space, and we have a really good, how do I say, uh, you just mentioned before, like the male and the female energy, and I think that's exactly what we're doing. Sorry, I'm closing the window real quick. Things are going on outside, so and um, yeah, we're just started that 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think we have a very good male-female energy balance there. So I'm also excited for that new project, that new challenge that Derek gave us.
Mm. Amazing.
Paul, you want to share a little bit about yourself, brother, just so the gents get to know you too, then the magic that we get to create together?
Yeah, sure. So thank you for inviting me, Eric. I love getting a bit more involved these days with your ecosystem, with your environment, with the community that you build over the years, and just seeing you bloom and blossom, brother, is just beautiful to witness. Um, yeah, so I'm Paul Brightrose. I've been in the business development world for the past 15 years. My specialty is marketing. I'm an expert at it, a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing in the UK. I've been head of marketing, marketing director on multiple occasions, usually for financial institutions or software SaaS companies in London, at a very advanced level, at the order of hundreds of millions of pounds in investments and things like that. So I got the chance to see how big money organizes business and people and communities, and the direct impact that it has on the smallest, weakest link in an organism like this, like a business or a community, but also on those that shine the brightest, the leaders, and how this can be brought into homeostasis, I suppose. One of the people that really inspire me these days is Dr. Zach Bush, and through his work explains the importance of our gut microbiome, these billions and billions of tiny little organisms that actually give us the energy that we have, and how they learn how to be in absolute harmony and deal with outside threats, reorganize themselves and the resources that they have. They have a very clear hierarchy of needs, but also of leadership as well. And that is very inspiring. My point is, we don't need to look outside of us to observe perfection, quite frankly. It's like the flower of life. When you look at it, you can see infinity inside it, but you can still hold it. It's the same with us. So I was sharing earlier about the importance of someone being integrated within themselves, and you see it immediately in their teams. That's why some businesses are more successful than others, even though their ideas could be better. If their intention, their ethical standards, and what drives them as an organism is not well put together, will always suffer. And to share a pragmatic example, one of my previous clients, one of these things, classic in the head type of narrative where they think they can cut corners. And they try to negotiate me out of a contract to basically take about 30 grand off of me and end up the contract about 3 months earlier. And we had to navigate it back and forth, almost got solicitors involved, almost went to the court basically. But I've seen the bigger picture here, and I learned it as a lesson. Literally today, someone called me to complain about these guys again, one of their providers, one of their suppliers, to say how they got tricked into whatever, £1,000 or something, and they lost. He stole from them. And he was saying to me that he believes in the law of karma, and sometimes what comes around goes around. And I can see how around these people, because they are so out of alignment, the circle, the noose is getting tighter and tighter by the month, by the day. Because if you just take from people because you're too much in a masculine disharmonious element, which is just taking, eventually it's just a matter of time until you're just going to run out of options. So I wonder if you flip that on its head and you see the bigger picture here. And I dealt with people that are very successful financially, and I learned these lessons from them. You give because it comes back to you at the order of magnitude that will humble you as a person. People that have made and lost tens of millions and then made it back. And it was usually someone that they lifted when they were at their strongest, that reached out to them when they were at their lowest and gave them the fresh breath of air that they needed. So kind of to bring this into perspective, the world of business is not a game of numbers, even though the tech companies are very successful in binary coding. But if you take that outside of the 1 + 1 = 2, and we actually see that that's different, and mathematics serve only to be applied within a container, outside of it, we are an organism. And in that organism, there are laws that need to be satisfied. And when we do, success is a result, is a direct, immediate result of what you show up as, your identity. And in business, there is such a thing as your business identity or personal brand identity. That once set in motion is like numerology. It's like the Fibonacci sequence. It will spark into what it's meant to be. So I always use these patterns to, in a sense, back engineer a conversation, a business pitch, a business idea, a forecast, a marketing strategy plan, and understand it if this will give course to something great or not, and usually make decisions. You use decision making from that framework. So moving forward, we are going to see a business conversation of a more practical nature in the Eric Balance environment. And Bright Rose, we are launching a business incubator in partnership. We are very excited to bring this forth. This is a 8-week incubation program to give people and entrepreneurs the chance to have access to practical tools that they can implement immediately, relevant to what's happening this year with all of the AI explosion of information and ideas, and to ground that into something tangible for themselves so that by the time they graduate, they already have an offer and they already have the payment integration system done and everything else, so that they can start take on clients or subscribers with students. And also opening a more grounded narrative of business mentorship. So I'm very, very excited to lead this forward and to collaborate with Eric on this project. And we're going to bring in absolute superstars and rock stars as guest speakers as well to inspire the community. People that have come through the other side and have in their heart a conscious awareness of helping and paving the way forward for those that are to come as well. So speaking of children, young adults that need financial education, there's nothing more empowering than practical experience, practical education. We all learn through practical experience. Our mirror neurons, when we are children, we see practically from our parents, and we are very receptive towards that behavior. Nobody has given us a class of how to walk or how to talk as children. We just pick that up through experience. And there's nothing more powerful. Mr. Anthony Robbins talks about immersion, full immersion. So this is what this business incubator is all about, bringing entrepreneurs, action takers who are ready to move in the right direction, practically, and empowering them. It's not an easy job. It's a practical guarantee that at the end of the incubator, you graduate, not with a diploma or some opinions, philosophical opinions about yourself, but with a practical business that you can show up in the world and say, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how much it costs, this is how much time I have, let's do this. So when that narrative comes about, people are empowered, they go away and bring more wealth, experience and opportunities within the community, and therefore empowering themselves, they empower the community and those around them. And we all thrive in peace and harmony, in alignment. Obviously, with a grounded attitude of streetwise perception of the world and what it means, and being able to deal with challenges, legal, financial, operational, marketing, sales, directly head on with an open heart and wise as well to know how to tackle them and leverage resources within the community. There will be students who will be graduated with their business in various aspects: content creation, legal matters, marketing, sales, all of these other angles, software as a service. And they will be able to bring in tools back in the community to empower. And that's where not just mates rates opportunities will be made available, but also future businesses and conglomerates. Like I was saying earlier, the model of the gut microbiome, there are so many clusters of various bacteria that help and nurture us. And therefore, as a oneness person, I benefit from it. Imagine how a community that is in absolute coherence with itself and true to itself, that brings back resources and recycles resources and transforms, and ultimately it's an alchemical process. That's why business is a spiritual experience.
Wonderful. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Great.
Yeah,
I
I
also,
love.
I figured, or when I listened to you, Paul, I had some aha moments, right? When you said when the people are not aligned with themselves and with their inner how do I say that? Just with themselves, then you can actually feel that. And I had this in my last project, in my uh, the organization I was working for. That was just now. Also, when I'm looking back, I realize more and more that nothing was aligned. Nothing was aligned with the people, with their purpose, and now I see that more and more.
Yeah.
Learning a lot. Learning a lot.
And I
Yeah.
think that this is why it's so important for us to really cultivate and continue to move forward. By the way, welcome Ronald and the students. When you were saying the classroom, Paul, that's exactly when Ronald walked in. That was awesome.
Talk about alignment, yeah.
That's right.
Perfect, perfect. Hey, Ronald, welcome in class.
Hello. Hi. How's
Hey.
everyone?
Hello.
Good. Hello.
Hello.
Beautiful.
Wow.
So many students. I love it. So, you guys, how's the week been? Good so far?
It's been amazing. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Ronald's class is very good, and we really enjoy it. And yeah, we started on a lot of projects this week, so it's been nice.
Yep. Amazing. So,
What kind of class is it?
go ahead. Yeah.
Well, Ronald teaches us stocks, and we have multiple classes: building your own business, but also yeah, it's lots of things that has to do with entrepreneurship.
Oh, so it's like a mentoring program for entrepreneurs.
Well, I wouldn't say a mentoring program. It's really it's like a uni.
They're
Okay,
in the university class, Jinhong. They're in the university classroom right now.
Oh, wow. Awesome. An entrepreneur program at the university.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
That's the main focus.
So
mm.
one of the things I wanted to highlight, because I think JJ and Paul, you guys brought up really important components, especially that we always want to talk about, is like business is a spiritual game. And the logical side of things sometimes gets in the way of us to actually truly stay in that level of coherence, which is what I love because it gives us the opportunity. And so I'd like to share, since we got the students here, by the way, Ronald and students, is it okay if I share a little presentation of how we can become these self-creators and become these conscious cash flow magnets in reality to really tap into what's possible? Because then as a result, facing off against the egoic mind, we can actually start to learn the duality, that everything is a duality, and we can tap into that oneness that Paul was really talking about. And that's really what the incubator is. So I really want to highlight some of these key concepts cognitively. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah? Cool. Amazing. So I'm going to just quickly share my screen here and highlight some of these things because I think that sometimes people, or especially like when it comes to energy of money, we forget that it doesn't need to be hard. We forget that it could be easy. So becoming this cash flow magnet or facing off against the ego really ends up being is like, hey, there is so much in society and its mediocrity that is misunderstood, to our own self-commitment and how we choose to create, right? So the materialistic perception of right and wrong, there's so many different lenses that is there really a right and wrong in that? How come material can be just as grounded and as beautiful in a positive sense if we choose to operate from that lens? It's all about that perspective, right? In that insight. And the more that we start to cultivate and create from that insight, we can actually start to activate a way more meaningful approach in a grounded perspective. And so the egoic mind, we see what we want to see, and the ego is such a profound tool to integrate in this physical space because what it gives us the mind, it gives us the tool to amplify our heart's coherence. And so many times, sometimes like it's like, hey, the ego doesn't need to be a negative thing. The ego could be such a profound thing because it keeps us alive, it keeps us here, it keeps us grounded. Like it's what we do with that egoic mind to discover how we can ground our nature, our true nurture, our capacity to be here now. And that is something that I've over discovered is like we just don't need to take things personally. You know, this is something that Paul and I always talk about is like we never take things personally. We're always focused on making sure that this is an integrated component of recognizing that we're here for a greater responsible role to win and to be right. Hey, like if it's we're not taking things personally, maybe there's something that I don't know, which is great because then we can be curious and we can learn about things that we don't know. No one here is superior. We all have something to learn from each other. I think that's the greatest gift that we can all discover. At least this is what I've learned over the come. And that hunger for more is a different type of desire to serve. So that as a result, we can actually live from fulfillment versus achievement. And then we don't need to accomplish to reach for. We could just be ourselves and truly do it as a team. Because I love this picture because it's like I look back, I don't know if anybody remembers the Bulls, but MJ, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, like these guys, you know, like they didn't do it alone. They did it as a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. And the more that we come together to cultivate a more meaningful approach, this is the more grounded the intelligence becomes, because true wisdom is coming from really understanding that it's the togetherness, it's sharing responsibility. And that is where the fun comes in. You know, Paul has talked about the wolf pack, and I love when he says that because the team as a wolf pack, we start to then really drive this path to nirvana. And I guess to know is like, I always ask myself, why do you know what you want, but then just don't do it? You know, like in the past, we know our why, but we don't get there. Why do we hope and dream, but struggle to achieve them? And I guess, does it feel like is something ever holding us back? And so I guess I'd love to get curious about you guys in the classroom right now. Why do you hope and dream, you know, maybe think that others out there struggle? Does it ever feel like something's holding you back? I'd be very curious to hear from you guys, the youngsters, because maybe there's a better way that we are also here discovering. It's more than knowing what we do. So does it feel like something's holding you guys back? And maybe we can take it to, and hear from you guys, the youngsters.
Absolutely nothing. No, it doesn't feel like anything stops me from wanting me what I want to become, for becoming what I want to become. There's nothing in my way, and I make the way. That's it.
Anyone else want to share?
You know where you're going to?
Not yet, but that's what I'm trying to find out over here. So I know I want to be in business. I want to have a product of my own. I don't want to trade in or sell courses or sell data or be in apps. I really want a warehouse and stuff. But I still need to just trying to find out what product it's going to be.
Okay.
Manufacturer.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't even have to manufacture it on my own. I just want to sell things. So
okay. That's your thing.
That's my thing.
What's the passion? What's the passion associated with being a manufacturer? I'm curious.
Well, yeah, it's just it has been a dream of my own for a very long time. To just go somewhere that's really your own place. So have your own warehouse, have your own, like to drive in the morning and go to your own company with the name that you thought of,
So can I open up your mind for 1 second? I'd love to.
try, yeah.
Because you definitely don't need to have a warehouse to be that owner,
I
right?
know,
Right.
but it's a dream.
Right. But what I'm saying is that you don't need to go to a warehouse to be that, because I'm hearing different. I'm hearing that you like the freedom. I'm hearing that you like the ownership. I'm hearing that you like being able to be called on and do whatever you need to do in your own journey. So something we get to discover is the more that we let go of uh kind of these things of having to have physical things in front of us, the more we might be free. We never know, right? Like that's the cool part, because sometimes in our mind it's like, hey, we need to have a building and a warehouse and a lot of overhead, right? To be successful and free. And maybe there's something that you don't know, that you don't need to have, because somebody's already built that warehouse. Somebody else already built that product, and you could lean on their shoulders and you could actually step back and do the thing that you're best at instead of having all those additional overheads.
No, I don't think that's nothing for me.
No. Okay.
I really want the building. I want everything. I want the people. That's what I like. That's what I want.
Cool. Does anyone else have any other insights based off of what you're hearing, JJ? Yeah.
It's interesting. What was your name? Next to Ronald, what was your name?
Loris.
Loris. Interesting to hear. And I think this could also be a journey. You want to have something tangible that you can actually go to and touch, and you see the things. I think that's something quite natural. And I can very much relate to that, because I was working in IT for almost a little bit too long, and in IT you hardly can grab something, right? You cannot touch the things you do, and sometimes I feel like, or I wish that I could actually touch what I'm doing and see what I have done in the evening, and having something that you can see and touch and have people around you. I think that's it's a good thing to have. And then it can also be a journey, right? A journey. You start where you are right now. You have this maybe this vision in your mind. You have a clear vision what you want to do, and then when you get more experienced, or you have, I mean, your ideas, they can evolve, and maybe in the future you say, hey, my next business could be without warehouse, for example, because you have learned that, you have that experience. Now let's do the next step. So this could also be part of the journey, having something now, and then the future, in 10 years, whatever your time frame is, right? Might be something else or something additional, right? Nothing wrong with having more than one business.
Yeah. And I think I just want to open that up, because there's a lot there in terms of our leadership journey, especially, right? Like this is something that I just want to highlight, because there's so many things that in the journey, this comes from a great book, but I'll sometimes life happens to us, we can position ourselves as these victims where we experience blame. Our belief is oftentimes a problem that's coming outside of us, and we ask ourselves questions where, why me, or whose fault is it, and this is a experience of separateness in our journey as leaders. And by the way, like I've been there multiple times, so that there's no judgment here. We've all had it in some way, shape, or form. But once we discover that, we want to make and we create life, or we create our business, or we become these creators with purpose, persistence. Sometimes there's friction, things happen along the way that really take our attainment as a result of our own success. And this becomes where I will, become this future power. I will form it. I will make it happen. And I get it. It's exciting. It's really and we get this sustenance, this desire, this knowing that, hey, I built it. I'm proud. I'm super excited, and I know that I'm gonna keep going. And then there we can go deeper. And at some point, you know, that deeper space of achievement, you know, gets us to a deeper place where we start understanding like, well, okay, so life is happening with me. I'm kind of part of the flow of life where I'm really starting to create, you know, and I'm appreciating more of what's happening around me. I'm discovering, you know, the problems as a student. You know, everything is really an opportunity to grow. It gives me a new perspective or phase of life. And then what can I learn? You know, what do I want to create? How can I continue to navigate? And this becomes a very nuanced and flexible way of choosing to operate. You know, there's a lot of flexibility in here because there's different purposes or people that come with different purposes, and maybe they start adding value or challenging. But there's a lot of empowerment, and this empowered experience allows us to choose and navigate our experience with endless impossibility. And at some point, we still, you know, because we're human beings, we still want to grow, right? Like there's even more growth available. And if we're not growing, we're dying. And so what I've discovered is like there's opportunities where we become the co-creators, where we allow the flow to come in, where, you know, Paul and I and Ronald and JJ and Gino, and like we think of things of like, hey, how am I allowing life to really come with me? I am a source for all that happens around me. And as a result, we can really start to what wants to happen through me. And it's kind of cool because there's a lot what we call or what I've discovered, like magic is taking the meaningful action, still doing our part, doing it with a space of grace, layering deep integrity, and then being super curious to what's going on around us. And the abundance that comes through this is something that is benevolence. It comes through us, it's as us, it's who we are. And that's where the next stage comes through, because once that goes and gives us the next opportunity, this is like a yogi in a perspective of, hey, you know, there's so much to learn from yogis and spiritual leaders, but really it's really discovering peace. It's discovering it's who we are. There's no problems. Everything is an awakened opportunity to say, hey, there's no questions. We just truly trust in what's coming, because from here we truly tap into what's free. And this gives us an opportunity to recognize, because you know I've made some fun archetypes like, hey, we could be a joker in the life where we experience the separateness. We could really tap into the lover where we're the soul creators. You know, we could then from that lover, and we're really passionate and we want to be these soul creators, we become these warriors into life, and we create and we appreciate what's possible because we're empowered to make things happen. And that emphasis has allowed me to
I think you cut off for a second
understand
there,
that the more
Eric.
that we recognize these concepts and process. Hmm, that's too bad. Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're back on now.
Sorry, fellas. I don't know what happened there. Internet connection. Hmm. Am I
Are you
back?
guys still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Good.
Sorry, everyone. I don't know what happened there. Maybe there's a lot of passion coming through.
Yeah, it's power.
Let me see if I can navigate this backwards.
You shock the grid.
Yeah, it feels like, doesn't it? This was the best part too.
Een van de succes van entrepreneur. Die je echt totaal.
Dat moet je zo zeggen.
Ja, dat heb ik wel. Ja, er is ook een onderzoek geweest. De meest succesvolle entrepreneurs. Ze hebben heel weinig inkomen. Er zijn 3 dingen die over het algemeen redelijk overeenkomen. Ze hebben allemaal een superioriteitscomplex. Ze hebben allemaal geen. Hebben angst.
Like my connection is unstable because lots of things are happening, so I don't know why. But nonetheless, the more that we go into this space of going then into the magician, which is the next stage, and then into the sovereign, we can then allow that true connection to come through in anything that we do. So I'm curious, does that feel like a resonance? Because we really tap into this different leadership concepts, and the journey will continue to allow us to navigate deeper parts of ourselves. So I'm curious what you heard, Jean Hong or Paul, from this perspective, and if that's something that identifies in your journey as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I love that you say, live in the fulfillment, not for the achievement. When I was younger, it's all about for the achievement, and there's a psychological need for approving myself, right? Proving myself and showing, have something to show, some success and some accomplishment. And without that, I felt like a failure. And I have, inside of that cycle, kind of, there's never fulfillment. There's never enough, right? And the enough deeply psychologically is not what I did was not enough. It's more like I am not enough. It's not enough. So nowadays, I'm simply following my heart. And I still, kind of a dismay and a loss, but still consciously, I always able to kind of let life. I like that life co-create with me. Like let life guide me. So, for example, so is the internet okay? Somehow it's choppy.
There's a little bit of noise in the background. I'm not sure if it's coming from you, Jin Hong, or from someone else.
Yeah, but you can hear me coherently, right?
I can hear you very well. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll continue. So for example, I set myself a mission to help these very creative and experienced entrepreneurs, technology manufacturing entrepreneurs, to help them globalize, which is basically coming to America, position themselves as American company and a American headquartered global company. So I was working with this entrepreneur. He has a chip manufacturing company in Vietnam. Originally was in China, then moved to Vietnam, and now he wanted to move to America. And the first step I did was reach out to a group in Silicon Valley. And then we went through like 2 weeks of meetings, and eventually, the group said, this is like a non-sexy, industrial manufacturing, and it's an ODM, not even, a brand. We are looking for breakthrough technology that can grow exponentially. So we don't want to work with this client. Well, I look at myself. Okay, fine. That's not a fit. Rather than disappointment, thank you for the process. Helped me to understand the organization and actually refine the approach. So then I thought like, few months ago, I met one gentleman, Thomas. He actually expressed his passion about my mission, and he wanted to help America reindustrialize, and he's probably interested in this kind of business. So I approached it to him, and he's like, wow, I'm excited. He said, yeah, I'm excited about this business. I want to work with you. So I think, this is a really kind of following the flow. Sometimes life is happening for me, right? Yeah.
Life is happening for me, right?
Yeah. So
Eric, is there a
Yeah.
loop in your
Thank you.
sound?
yeah. Yeah, that's what I want to share. I think that's my reflection. Thank you, Eric, for sharing this.
I have a critical student here who wants to say something.
Please.
Oh, it's me.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Be critical.
No, yeah, I've been listening to you guys and we've been talking about the last time I wasn't here.
Yeah, Eric, maybe you can mute. Yeah, Eric, you need to mute. The echo comes from you.
Yeah, so last time I wasn't here,
Mhm.
they told me about you guys at the meeting. And I'm always, so I asked some questions. And the things I'm hearing right now, it's completely opposite to what I think is because the presentation said, I think, don't feel superior to the rest. And in my experience, and also there was this onderzoek. There was this research that researched the biggest CEOs, successful entrepreneurs, and they said they have very little in common. But there were three things that most of them had in common. They had some superiority complex, so they all thought they were better than the rest. They were afraid to fail, and they had impulse control, which is like kind of different things than what I'm hearing right now. And it's also what I experience in if I see successful business people, what I experience with them. So they all have the same thing, like in my eyes.
And those are the
people I know that have these things. Yeah, friends of my dad, even my dad as well.
So
it's the feeling that you're better than the rest, so you can do better than the rest.
So I think for life, right? The accomplishment, whether doesn't matter where the psychological drive is. The reality is whatever your intention, whatever you want, you create. And so I compared two books. One is Jim Collins' Good to Great, and he studied all these entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs are like very much of at a level of spirituality and calm and purposeful. And then another book is called The Productive Narcissist, by a gentleman called Michael, forgot his last name. He's a psychologist, and he sees there are four personalities. One of the personalities is called a narcissist, and these are usually visionary leaders. Now, these visionary leaders, the drive behind them is their ego. Their organization or their mission is their blown up ego. These people usually create something enormous. Now, these people, at some time, they will face a crisis. They either evolve and then become great leaders, or they are destroyed by their ego. So like a lot of narcissists, he call, natural, non-productive narcissist. You go to great success, and now it's like it's all my success. I am everything. I'm God and everything. And then they have destructive behaviors. And and then you fall, destroy themselves. And then the productive narcissist, you go, and now you can, okay, now you reflect at the top, and then you can let go of your own psychological need and really become a purposeful leader and, living a mission. So that was fascinating to me, and I connect myself like, I have that narcissist part of it, and looking for accomplishment to prove myself. And then eventually I realized, okay, it's time for me to transform, with a purpose, and really, live in the fulfillment with my purpose. Yeah. And great dictators in the world, Hitler, Chairman Mao, it's all a very good scenario of a disruptive narcissist. And like Bill Clinton, started to have this sexual things, kind of destroyed his career, but he's able to reflect. He talked to Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins said, "Okay, you just be honest and face it," right? So very interesting. And then later on, he started his Clinton initiative and contributed to the world. Yeah, that's fascinating. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you for sharing, Jin Hong. Eric, I would like to jump in with just a few comments as well. So it's very interesting to observe different opinions, and it goes to say that what we all have in common, ourselves, our topics, our experience, our knowledge, is that we're all human people. We have a heart and we have a brain and needs, irrespective of what we're doing right now or what we think we are or believe we can do. But we brought together on this call for the main purpose to discuss business and the mastery process of that. And we can all talk and have an opinion about it. But the reality of things is that if business is at a mastery level and whoever leads it reported to the world and in the world that it exists, it would either be successful or not. And that is immediately apparent, immediately obvious in the organization, in the sales, in the product, in the reach, in the way people appreciate the business. What I've learned over the years is that it's always a matter of perspective, be it your perspective of who you think you are as a business leader or someone who wants to start a business, and how you see yourself. And Eric very eloquently in his presentation brought these different archetypes. And we all have to be fluent in a sense to be able to master most of these. Being a joker, I mean, Donald Trump shows it on TV every day, how important it is to be and know how to master the joker so that you don't make a joker of yourself, but you use it as an archetype to deal in the right scenario, or to be the warrior, the sovereign. These are all narratives. This is the operational system that is powering your ability to process decision making. And that sometimes is paired with experience. So this lovely young man who shared, and I love your energy and your drive, keep going in the sense of if you know what your boundaries are and you don't allow people to tell you otherwise, keep going. Just bear in mind, we all have limited energy, and make sure you channel it in the right direction so that the lessons you're learning them fast, and you can build from a lesson to the other until you find your thing or your product, like you said. And when you will find it, it will be immediately apparent. It's that sweet spot, the Goldilocks sweet spot, where the others already know by your presence that you're doing well. You don't need to convince people that you're successful or that your product works. And also the reason, the purpose why we're getting in business and why we're doing these things. We all are on a hero's journey at a personal level, as within, so without, and at the macro scale as well. We all go through trials and tribulations. I've never met, on the contrary, business leaders, they go through more challenges than most people. It's just that they know how to cover their tracks and portray themselves as successful. but we all have to deal with hardship. And as entrepreneurs, solving problems is one of the key abilities to be successful. And how do you do that? Well, if someone is in business, so they have an expanded version of their own ego as the center point, as the brand, as the number of employees, the number of offices around the world, at some point that will run out like a firework. It will just, blow out of proportion, and that's it. But if you are in business to solve a problem or to bring about solutions for people, that will continue to grow long after you're gone, because that's when you align with the balance and the essence of this world that we're in. It means that you've learned enough through practice. I could have an opinion, and so many times I've learned this lesson. I could have an opinion of what's right, but when I step out into the world in a business narrative, I get an answer immediately. I.e., does my business solution work? Yes or no? And also, it's interesting to see how fast education and insight is moving, how TikTok is educating the masses right now in terms of what works and what doesn't. So the ability to cherry pick your information and base it on something that is actually practically true, not just someone's opinion, will also move you faster on your progress in your entrepreneurial journey. And we all are here to learn, quite frankly. It's just that our perspective is different. So when you shift your perspective of who you are, why you're doing what you do, why you're doing, sometimes it's to please someone else, to make someone else happy, mother, father, those around us, social context, or because you've reached a point where, okay, I am in a mastery state, and now I'm here to masterfully teach and show others the way to move forward. So if my perspective is practical, i.e., how many of this product I'm selling next week, then that's all I need to worry about. If my perspective is I am one small point of awareness in a bigger organism called life, and I show up in a conscious manner in full honoring of the divine presence, the soul energy, the life force that thrives through me and experiences itself through examples and people and conversations and flow, then it's a different perspective and it's a different ball game. And that's when things just start to manifest and create in a different way. You connect with partners, business ideas show up, completely new ecosystems are created in an instant. And that's, again, a matter of perspective. So to bring things into the conclusion from my point of view, it's amazing to want and to have the energy, the hunger to do something of yourself at a young age, and also to have the ability to reinvent yourself when you completed a hero's journey. But we're all not just circling around, we're in a constant state of spiraling in our own process. So when you completed a circle, have the courage to engage on the next one up. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it, and the better you flow. Because this is my point, where you're in a state of flow within yourself, aligned and harmonized, and you take care of those around you, everything else magnetizes and is flowing at a faster, more coherent rate. It's a great hoppy Native American saying that goes like this: when you are dealing with hardship in your life and when challenges are around you, imagine yourself as a person flowing on a turbulent river. Do not try to swim towards the shore when the water is turbulent, because all you'll do is just hurt yourself in the rocks and in the flow of the turbulent river. All you have to do then is trust in your power, trust in yourself, and just float at the top surface level of the river. Let the river carry you until it slows down. And in that gentle awareness, when you know, okay, now I'm safe to make a move, you just walk out of the river. And that art of surrender into the flow of things, to acknowledge when you have to engage the warrior to fight something, or when you have to engage the lover. And sometimes self-love is so important, to be patient with oneself, to be caring, to be compassionate towards ourselves, so that we can embody and radiate it, then the decision making flows through you, unintended. All right.
Well, if
One thing I just
may-
one thing I just
Okay,
want to add
go.
quick, Ronald, I'm sorry. One thing that is really important is like confidence. It's not thinking that we need to compete with anybody. It's knowing that we don't have to.
Yeah, it's
And
you're your own enemy. That's the thing. The only competitor is yourself. Yeah, that's of course.
It's how my perspective is when I look back to my journey, is I recognize a lot of you. You have the youth, the strength, and you can call it a warrior, whatever you call it. The end of the journey is the secret of living is giving, and you will find that secret somewhere in your journey. And now you will really discover why you want to do this. Your why is now your picture of your why is now your own company with your own people. That's your picture. But your why is under the picture, and you will discover your why and maybe change your why several times in your journey. Because when you achieve this, then you find something else. And what it is, that's the journey of life. That's so beautiful. And when you've done the journey several times, then you learn to trust more, like the example of Paul in the river, then trusting to do nothing. That's the difficult thing of being an entrepreneur. Trusting to do nothing and find the right time to step out of with grace and with the energy you have to do, you go with the flow. And that's the beautiful state to be in. And it's a journey to get there. And sometimes you go fast, and sometimes you experience hardships. And what Paul said, you have more perspective. When you can change your perspective as an entrepreneur, look at from different sides, you have more perspective, you have more choice, you have more room to make decisions, and then and it's of course it's your decision, and it's your lesson to learn, and that's the beauty of it. And you will succeed. You will succeed because you have to drive, and you will learn what you need to learn. And let's see in 5 years where you are. I would love to get back to this and say, oh, I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
So, hey.
again, it's all about being compassionate to oneself. What was your name there again, brother? I'm sorry. I just wanted to.
Morris.
It's all about being compassionate. And like one thing I just wanted to, because I know I'm over your guys' time. So this is the last kind, like we are life, right? The sovereign. So this is where it all comes together. We just trust. And that's where the creative force comes in, right? The creative force of intelligence comes through us. And, this is something that you could be esoteric to many people, but most of us, we live on this pendulum and we decide on which way we want to grow. This is the pendulum. And if the less that we swing, the more we are centered and the more we can see things in the present ecosystem. And then all other ecosystems become one ecosystem because and that's really what the abundance cash flow, right? That's how we start to magnetize becoming, your own verified way of showing up your why, experiencing winning communities, experiencing creative and unique mentorships like Paul's talking about, we're starting next week. These are the things that are really allowing, in the incubator to continue to grow. And so that's going to be something that allows us to all define and understand what is it that really allows us to be practical, but ultimately making everything come to life. So whether we're here to be ethical in our language, the things that we just decide to see through our own, like Paul beautifully described, through this subjective perspective. The thing is true intelligence, and whether it's financial intelligence, business intelligence, spiritual intelligence, is to see things as they are and not worse than they are. if we are willing to see them better, we will create them better. And that is what makes us really the powerful forces that we are. And it's also what brings such amazing leaders on this call right to your doorstep, Morris, is, you know, these profound entrepreneurs, different leaders, different people have different perspectives, and yet we're all here working as one. So it's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Paul.
Mm.
And Jin Jong, nice to see you again. We
Thank
need to
you,
chat
Ron.
about the tax system in the US.
Yeah.
Nice seeing you guys.
Yeah.
Very
Amazing.
nice.
Amazing
Mm.
seeing you all. I really appreciate you guys. And thanks for taking the time, Morris, to be here, and the rest of the classroom. Ronald, we love you so much. Jin Hong, it's so good to see you. I hope maybe we catch up more, because it'd be amazing to see what's new in your reality and what we can do to serve you.
Sure. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
See you
Paul,
later, guys. All the best. Speak
Mhm.
soon.